So I'm 18, technically an adult, but let's be real. I still ask myself what the hell is going on about half the time. From my understanding, that's never going to change. Most people live their lives 15 minutes at a time, all the way to the grave. Most people avoid the big questions, the ones they can't answer, because they're afraid of the answer. Or maybe they're not even afraid. Maybe they're just too zoned out to ask them in the first place. But instead of avoiding the big questions, today I'm diving straight into them. Let's see if an 18-year-old can answer the world's hardest philosophical questions with 0 degrees, 0 credentials, and a whole lot of curiosity. Welcome back to the Grateful Podcast. I'm your host, Jack Wagoner, and I believe that we should optimize for fulfillment over material success. We can do this by being grateful for what's right now while pursuing a better future. Let's jump into it. Who am I? I don't freaking know, man. Some days I feel like Socrates, other days I feel like a sentient bag of Doritos. This is a hard one because I'm not a finished product. I'm still in the draft stage of my life, and honestly, I kind of love that. I don't believe you can confine identity to the soul or to the body or to the brain like many schools of philosophy like to do. That's way too simple. That's too neat for the way our world works. The truth is, we are always changing, and saying I am this locks you in. I don't want to be locked in. The thing is, I'm a different person physically and emotionally than when you started watching this video. You're a different person than when you started watching this video. The way that you've probably had a hair that fell out, or the way that cells are dying. I'm not a biologist by any means, but we're always changing. And so self is very hard. But the thing is, with this idea that we're always changing, I also believe that I still have the same essence that I had back when I was born or when I was in kindergarten. My voice, my face, my thoughts, they're all totally different. So, what do we do with that? How do we differentiate from the changing things, and how do we fight through that mess of things that are changing to find what that constant is, that identity? What I try to do is I look for patterns, the stuff that keeps showing up across all versions of me. It's not a perfect science. By all means, I could be wrong, but it's something. One of my patterns, curiosity. I never really left the why stage I entered as a kid. My parents will always tell me how insane it was, the amount of whys I asked. Anything was why. I know that's pretty common, but I kind of still do that. Look at the whole idea of this podcast. I'm just asking why. And so I'm still there in that why stage. I'm just asking bigger questions. It's a part of who I am. Another one, ambition. I've always set big goals. And when I say big, I mean wildly big goals. Like, I wanted to be a Jedi Knight when I was 4 years old. I would try to train myself to learn the Force so I could be more powerful than Master Yoda. Yeah, I just completely nerded out on you, but genuinely, that's what I wanted. When I was 12 years old, I had this poster right behind me on this wall that you see right here. If you're listening, it's just in my room. And it said that I would make my MLB debut when I was 16 years old and go 4 for 4. Like, I thought, I genuinely believed that. That's crazy. I was genuinely crazy. I'm not even playing college baseball, and my 12-year-old self thought I'd be the GOAT. And the thing is, I'm still like that. I still believe I'll be the best podcaster ever, whatever the hell that means. I've got this obsession with greatness, and it's been there as long as I can remember, and I don't think it's going to go away. So yeah, who am I? I'm curious, I'm ambitious, and I'm still figuring it out. And maybe identity isn't something we define. Maybe it's something we chase. So let's move into another one. Question 2. Why do bad things happen to good people? This is a really good one. Honestly, this is one of the harshest realities of life, but out of all these questions, I think it does have the most intuitive answer. My philosophy on this is not that there's some sentient being out there choosing bad things to happen to good people. No, I don't think that's how this works. I don't think that there's a God that's choosing, and many people might disagree with me on this, and that's okay. Just pause for a second, listen to what I have to say, because I think it makes sense, and I'd be interested to hear your point of view on it. But Uh, Firstly, if a bad thing happens to a bad person, we're much more likely to ignore it or write it off as deserving or karma. We have much less empathy for people we dislike. So if bad things happen to them, we are much less likely to categorize it as being a bad thing. That feels like a politician move. I feel like I just dodged the question instead of answering it. But the reason I worked around the question is a bit is because I think it is flawed. I don't think bad things happen to bad people, or I don't think bad things happen to good people. I think good people seek out the bad things because they are what makes them. Anyone good has overcome something difficult. Think of any of your heroes, superheroes, celebrities, even athletes. Success stories are built in that tough period. Before the hardship, most of these people were just above average, but they weren't exceptional. Before Rocky trained to fight Apollo, he was just a regular dude in Philly. Then came the Rocky training arc. It's hard catching chickens, and he became Rocky Balboa, the Italian stallion. The best people are forged by how they respond to hardship. Good people have bad things happen to them because they are the ones that can deal with it. They're the ones that you see deal with it. They're the ones that you look up to for dealing with it. I don't think difficulty makes sense, but I think difficulty makes us. Difficulty defines who we become. It is in the moments of difficulty that we either become great or we become normal. We either rise to the occasion or we fail. And that's why so many people have bad things happen to them, because it made them who they are, especially the good people, because it becomes a core part of their story. So it stands out more than it does for any of us normal people. Also, something Alex Hormozy talks about a lot, that the bigger you get, the more successful you become, the bigger problems come with that. So the people we look up to as being good people, they've often grown to a point where their problems are bigger than the problems we have. But relatively, they may be just the same as the problems you face in your everyday life. Question 3. What is love? First off, I feel highly unqualified to answer this question. More life experience would definitely be helpful here. Uh, in my experience, people have a different relationship with love that grows with them as they grow. Love right now at 18 looks a lot different to me than I believe it will at 25 or 55 or 105 when I make it that far. I think another thing to be aware of is that love has different meanings for different relationships, and this is pretty intuitive. You love a romantic partner different than you love your parents, whom you love different than your best friend. At least I hope all of that is true. Uh, any definition of love is subjective, categorized for a specific person at a specific time. Any attempt to define all of love under one umbrella, I believe, falls short. That's the difficulty with this question. I believe languages should have different words for the love you feel toward different people. Platonic love, familial love, and romantic love should all be seen as separate things. There's also spiritual love, people loving God and gods, and I don't think that that's the same thing as the others either. But the question isn't what are the different types of love, the question is what is love itself? If all of the above are types of love, then there has to be something holding them together, some common thread. And uh, the common thread, I believe, is connection. It's when love is when the barrier between your individual selves seems to get a little fuzzier. And it's when you start to become one with this other person. I know that sounds woo woo or some sappy wedding vow type stuff, but I do think it's true. I don't want you to immediately reject this idea. When we love and are loved back, we are connecting on a deeper level than anyone understands. We cannot describe this with anything scientific that we've come in all of this technology and this scientific revolution. Almost all religions and philosophies have some concept of oneness. This idea that we're all just waves in an ocean made of the same water and different in no concrete way. Love is proof that connection is more powerful than anything. And if that's true, maybe we are here to love more than we are here to win. Which brings me to the next question. What is the meaning of life? No pressure on this one, right? This isn't a big question at all. At some point, the Earth will be engulfed by the sun, and the universe will spread out so far that time seems to stop. Entropy. I did learn that in physics. When this happens, nothing you or I have done will still be there. Nothing we do as humans or as the human race will change any of the macro inevitabilities of the universe. This isn't nihilism, this is reality. Despite that, we can change a lot here and now. You'll never make a difference on that big of a scale, on a universal scale, but you don't need to. You could wave to your neighbor and make them smile. And honestly, that is more than enough. The meaning of life isn't big and grandiose, not for me anyway. The meaning of life is lifting up the people around you and living your absolute best life to fulfill your potential. It is living a right life, which leads me to my next question, or the next question of these difficult philosophical ones. Before I get into it, I'd just like to say, if you're enjoying this episode, please review it. You can leave me a review wherever you're listening, or comment on YouTube, or send it to someone that you think would enjoy. It'd mean the world to me. All right, question 5. Is there a right way to live? Yes, I believe there is a right way to live, and it isn't what many people think. From the moment we can communicate, we're indoctrinated with this idea that the right way to live is to work hard, make money, impress people, climb the ladder, and impress people again. Hell no. Young people especially feel a lot of pressure to do life right, but many of them never stop to think about who they're doing it for. In the end, I think it's important to remember that everyone here is going to die. I don't care how morbid that sounds. It's the truth. You're going to die. I'm going to die. We'll all be gone one day. If you want to spend your unexamined life getting bounced around like a pinball for the sake of other mortals' opinions, then by all means go for it. But that's not how we should live. The right way to live is the opposite of that. The right way to live is in accordance with your values, what you want to do. The right way to live is to take some time for yourself every single day, some quiet time where nobody else's opinions are saturating yours, and to think about what you feel called to do. We can't keep prioritizing material success over fulfillment. We have to flip the switch. If you want to live a right life, think about what that would look like from the perspective of your future self on your deathbed. When you're about to die, what are you going to regret having not done? What are you going to wish you had done with this life that's finite? What could you have done to make yourself die with a smile on your face? Ask yourself right now, what makes me feel fully alive? What makes me feel purposeful? I guarantee it's not checking off life's boxes set up by people you don't even know. The right life is one where you wake up excited, you go to bed grateful, and try to make the world a little better in between. I think about Buddha. He created the Four Noble Truths and the Eightfold Path, right? And these were really the steps to living a right life. There was all the steps on the Eightfold Path. It was like right speech, right. I might mess these up. I'm not a Buddhist scholar, but all of them started with a right mind. And he was such an open person, but he did believe that there was a correct way to do something. I think in this world, in this modern culture, it's really taboo to say that there is a correct way to live. We're supposed to say that everything is subjective. Everyone, you can do it for you. You can figure it out on your own. You have your own right way to live. And yeah, I believe that's true. I don't think there's a cookie cutter perfect life for everyone, but I think that you can take the same steps. Everyone can take the same steps to find out their right way to live. And I think if we got back to that and if we taught that, this world would be a little bit better. Or a lot of bit better, actually. So, in conclusion, maybe I don't have all the answers, but maybe that's the point. At 18, it's not about being certain about anything. It's about being curious. It's about asking the questions anyway, even if they're stupid. If you're listening and you're around my age, just know that your questions matter. Your curiosity matters. And your journey is just the beginning. If you're listening and you're not my age, the same applies for you. I don't care how old you are, you should always be learning. You can always learn more, and it is such a rewarding experience. I prompt you to try to answer some of these questions because it really made me think about the way that I view the world, and getting conscious about how you view the world and the opinions you have and the beliefs you have of the world around you helps you, or at least help me, go through life on a day-to-day basis with a little more clarity, a little more intentionality. If any of this hit home, or if you've got your own answers to the questions, comment them down below or leave a review wherever you're listening. Make sure to share this episode with anyone you feel could use it, whether on social media, friends, family, wherever. Until next time, stay grateful, stay curious, and keep chasing meaning over the noise. Thank you.